look, in many ways, if you look at the proposal that the president started with and posted on the internet at the beginning of the week, it's modeled after a proposal very similar to what Senator Daschle, former Senators Daschle, Dole, and Baker outlined at the beginning of last year. It's very similar to an idea that was passed in Massachusetts and is now state law there, except the president has taken steps that Massachusetts didn't in the beginning to address skyrocketing costs. So look, one of the main ideas is allowing small businesses and individuals to pool their resources, and quite a popular Republican idea. So I think in many ways, despite some of the rhetoric, the initial sort of benchmark proposal here is predicated off of some agreement. And I think the president heard more yesterday. Jake.
Yesterday, when Senator McCain at the Healthcare Reform Summit talked about the Medicare Advantage carve-out, the exemption for Floridians who get Medicare exemption, President Obama said, I think you make a legitimate point. Should we expect that that carve-out for Floridians will be removed from the bill?
I'm not going to add to what I think the president was clear, and as he moves forward next week, we'll have more on that.
So, well, just to clarify, what you guys put on the website on Monday is not necessarily what an outline would look like if a bill goes to Congress, right? You might change it even more.
Right. Look, I think there are concepts that were discussed yesterday that the president would work with the team on, adding into what a piece of legislation or a series of ideas that we started with on Monday, add to those and see if agreements on selling insurance across state lines with some minimum requirements, some movement on dealing with defensive medicine and medical malpractice, if some of those issues can't garner greater bipartisan support.
And presumably, if you think somebody raised a legitimate point, that would be reflected in this new. Okay, White House Social Secretary Desiree Rogers is resigning. First of all, the President and First Lady put out a statement saying that they thought she did a terrific job. Could you tell us what she did that was terrific?
Well, I think countless numbers of people have come to events here that have that showcased the people's house, as they said in their statement. I think the doors of this house were opened to folks that had not necessarily always gotten to be here, whether it was school children from the area, whether it was low-income kids that got an opportunity to see the White House, not from outside of Pennsylvania Avenue through a fence or a gate, but instead up close and inside of it. I think the president is tremendously grateful for all of her hard work in organizing literally hundreds of events over the course of the past many months, and thanks her very much for serving her country.
The White House has been criticized for the Chicagoans who are part of the team. I know this happens with every White House. They bring people from their home. The president brings people from their home city or home state, and they get criticized by Washingtonians. But certainly Desiree Rogers was part of that Chicago circle. Is that an unfair criticism? What does the president think when he hears people going after Chicagoans like Valerie Jarrett or Axelrod or Desiree Rogers?
Well, look, I've not talked specifically to the president on that. I think, as you said, Jake, there are criticisms of many people that work here, including myself. But Helen, I didn't realize you blogged under that name. Look, that's part of what comes with this. I don't think anybody that works here understands that they're, including myself, are free from any of that criticism. Again, I think if you look at the enormity of the number, the size, and the scope of events that transpired here at the White House, I think her service as the President and the First Lady have said is to be commended. Yes, sir.
Does the White House see a scenario at all that where Republicans could come on board and support this health care reform bill? Because yesterday what they seem to be saying is, while we can find areas of agreement, let's work with those, but start all over from scratch. So do you see a scenario at all where they will come on board?
Dan, it's a question, I think, honestly, for them, based on the ideas that we've not only previously taken and put in the president's series of ideas, but ideas of common agreement from yesterday. Now, the question, Dan, is whether or not, again, whether or not the philosophical differences of regulating the insurance industry, regulating insurance companies, and providing people with a base level of protection is a bridge just simply too far for the Republicans to come. I think if you look at statements from the past, from almost everybody in that room, there's a lot in the president's proposal and a lot of ideas that were talked about yesterday that I think most people could agree with. The question is whether or not we're going to put aside game playing and do something on behalf of the American people. That's a question that they alone can answer. But the notion of starting over, Dan, I would say this: insurance companies are not starting over. They're mailing out letters right now increasing insurance by 39% in the individual market. So they've not decided that they're going to start all over. They're taking an individual's health insurance rates and increasing them somewhere on the order of 10 times healthcare inflation for the most previous year. So, we know what happens if we do nothing. More and more people pay more. More businesses drop the coverage that they're already extending to their employees. Our budget deficit continues, because of the amount of money that we're spending on healthcare, continues to get worse. The president believes we still have to act.
Desiree, why is she leaving? Was she pushed or did she jump?
No, you saw Desiree. Many of you, I think, saw the interview that she did, where she was asked to come here by the president and the first lady to do many of the things that I talked to Jake about, and she told them around the beginning of the year that she thought it was time for her to go back to the private sector. She's not been asked to leave. She's decided it's time to go back to doing other things that she loves.
And the state dinner incident did not play into this at all?
I don't think it did, no. Yes, ma'am.
Why does the president have this audacity of hope for the health plan when it's so clear? Perception from yesterday was you struck out.
Well, Helen, I don't agree that was the perception of yesterday. Look, did the clouds part and the angels sing? No, not even during the lunch break. But again, I do think. Look, you saw this in comments in the newspaper today. You had people that have in many ways spent a good part of the last year talking past and around each other, talking honestly about what needs to be done to make a situation better on behalf of their constituents and on behalf of the American people.
Want the health care in any way after they're adamant?
I don't know. Again, I think, again, watching yesterday, there are philosophical. There's a philosophical bridge, particularly on making sure that insurance companies act the way we expect corporate citizens to act.
I
think those are
They don't want any health care.
Well, we will see. I think, again, the president outlined a series of proposals based on good ideas from Democrats and Republicans in the past. And I think you'll likely see him take issues that they agreed on yesterday and add them into a proposal going forward. So, I'm going to wind myself. I canceled my afternoon so I could hang with you guys.
Aside from all the bipartisan talk, was it partly the president's purpose yesterday to make clear once and for all that the Republicans are the party of no, that they only want to obstruct health care, and that gives him freedom to move ahead on a Democrat-only plan?
No, I look, Chip, the president.
That is the conventional wisdom in Washington, I believe. Well, that was the real purpose, the ulterior motive of this thing.
leaving aside my normal commentary on Washington said conventional wisdom. But I think that